Hi everyone. Uh, Today we will be examining another important dimension in the molecular genetics, especially how molecular genetics play an important role in heredity. So far, we have learned from various experiments that nucleic acids are genetic materials. And there are two types of nucleic acid. One is the DNA, other is the RNA. Now, so many questions have been raised in the earlier days about the type of the genetic material. There was something earlier called proteins were responsible. That was ruled out by experiment of Griffith, Hershey, Chase and all these people. That has been removed. And now we came to understand that nucleic acids are responsible for transmission and maintenance of the genetic material. Of these two nucleic acids, which one is the universal or predominant genetic material is a question that is solved by taking a few important properties of the genetic material. Now, you know that every chemical molecule, macromolecule in our living system has a structure and has properties, and it has got its own way of behaving with the other molecules. That will be considered in finding out which of the two nucleic acids, DNA or RNA, is predominantly seen in all the living beings as genetic materials that not only stores and protects the information but passes on to the next generation. That's the point we're going to go. Now, at least there are four important properties that has been considered very important for the genetic material per se. One of them is the property of replication. Now, replication refers to the duplication of the material which has to be passed on to the next generation. So that is one important thing that we will talk about it. And the second one is the stability. That means the material that is responsible to store the genetic information and pass it on to the next one must be stable. For generations to come, it must be stable and it should not change immediately. That's one thing. We'll check up on that. The third one, mutate. So, as the conditions in the environment would change, sometimes they have to mutate very slowly, very gradually for the process of organic evolution. That is there. Now, we are not talking of the mutation that is happening with the present day COVID. Within 1 year, we have seen 4 different types of DNA, 4 different types of COVID has come out. Delta, Delta plus Delta, like that. So many variations have come up now. That is not the type of mutation we are talking. We are talking about the natural mutation where the genetic material can change slowly to evolve into different organic levels. The fourth one, that material should follow the laws of Gregor Mendel's laws of heredity. These are the 4 important properties that has been suggested as a reference point for the deciding which is the predominant molecule that is essential for storing and protecting and passing on the genetic information to the next level. Now let us take up one by one. Well, we say whether it is DNA or RNA is a question. which one is the one. So if you apply these four important properties, then you will be able to decide. Of course, scientists have decided that, but we will examine that now. Now, for example, if you take the question of replication, that means if the DNA molecule is like that, we know that whether it is RNA or DNA, any one of those things, they have the nucleotides, and both RNA and DNA have the capacity for replication. We have seen DNA coil, uncoils, and then on the one template base there will be production of a new RNA. That is the replication of the same thing will happen. Similarly, RNA will replicate and send its material to forming the different types. For example, RNA is seen in the mitochondria, it is seen in the Golgi bodies, like that it is there everywhere. So that also has the property to replicate itself. So the first property, both RNA and DNA has that. For example, now RNA that is seen in some viruses and some viruses will be seen. You know, today this COVID-19 virus has the RNA, and that RNA is replicating, spreading from person to person in no time, very fast. It is replicating. So it has the property. So that is one thing present in all these things. And we go to the next one, that is the stability. Stability refers to the molecule should not chemically change its structure due to minor changes in the environment where the RNA or DNA is placed. It should be stable. When you look at that particular character, now RNA is not that stable. It is highly reactive. RNA changes rapidly. You have seen, for example, right now we have seen RNA of the virus has changed into 4 different types within no time. That is not a stable one. Therefore, and also it has only single strand, and it's single strand. And if you look at the structure, it has got the pentose sugar, and it also got a base. In this sugar, the OH ends are free in the oxyribose, and that will be highly reactive. Therefore, it is not stable. But if you look at the DNA now, the next one, if you look at DNA, DNA has double helix nature. There are 2 strands in that, and these 2 strands are connected to one another by means of the hydrogen bonding. We have cytosine and guanine nucleotide, we have adenine, and we have thymine. Now the cytosine and guanine are connected by 3 hydrogen bonds in the center, 2 in the adenosine and thymine. In addition to that, the OH ends of the sugar of the deoxyribose, OH ends, these ends are occupied by phosphate molecules. Therefore, this structure, chemical structure, where OH end is connected to phosphate, and internally they are further stabilized by means of hydrogen bonding. So this gives the stability for the DNA molecule. we also have seen from the Hershey's experiment when the phage DNA, when the phage DNA was heated, that is the work of Griffith, when it was heated, I'm sorry, it's not the correct one I'm telling, I will take back, that is the work of Griffith, where E. coli was there, and then to that E. coli, he introduced the S and R type of the pneumococcus bacterial cells. And when this was heated, the DNA material present in this particular bacterial cell did not change, and it has transferred itself into the next one, and that is the nature of the DNA molecule. So DNA will not change for simple changes in the environment in which it lives, whereas RNA will change. So that is the second property the DNA molecule has. It is always stable. And the third one, mutate. As we said earlier also, RNA molecule is highly reactive, and this can mutate quickly, mutate very fast. We have seen the COVID-19 mutating in 1 year, as we have seen, at least 4 different types have come up within 1 year. That kind of fast mutation is not good for the stability of the organism. Therefore, RNA is not suitable. Whereas DNA might mutate over hundreds and thousands of years, because elephant remains elephant, human beings remain human beings, whereas the RNA virus will change quite often structurally, chemically. So therefore it is not correct. So this mutation should be very slow, gradual, and it will take long time only to have some minor changes, which RNA is not possible. Therefore that is not correct. And the fourth property, that is the Mendel's law to be followed. You know, Mendel has proposed laws for the inheritance. DNA follows that. DNA has the ability to follow the Mendel's laws. So these 4 properties are very essential to decide which of the 2 nucleic acid is more predominant in the living beings. The ultimate conclusion will be DNA is the most stable and most predominant molecule, or the nucleic acid that will be seen as the genetic material. So if you want to talk about the molecular basis of the inheritance, then ultimately you have to point out to DNA molecule. It is not the RNA, only DNA molecule is responsible to store and then protect and pass on the information to the next generation. That is the type of the genetic molecule that DNA has. We shall stop here.